Welcome to Overnight Market Brief, Pre-Market Edition by AGI Era. Good morning. Today is Monday, December 22nd, 2025, and it is shortly after 8 a.m. Eastern Time. This is your executive summary of global market developments, analyzing the overnight flows in Asia and Europe, the key macro drivers, and the setup for the North American Open. The prior session and macro context. First, a look back at Friday's close. Wall Street finished firmly in risk-on mode, with tech shares regaining momentum. The S&P 500 settled at 6835, rising 0.88%, while the Nasdaq 100 climbed 1.31% to close at 25,346. Crucially, the session was driven by a rebound in beaten-down AI-related names, setting a positive tone to end the week. However, the real story for the upcoming session is developing in the macro engine room. Right now, the 10-year Treasury yield is trading at 4.16%, up about 0.43%. The U.S. dollar index is slightly weaker at 98.08, while crude oil is bid, trading up over 2%, around $57.70 a barrel. The modest spike in yields is the key variable to watch this morning. It presents a potential headwind for the growth in tech stocks that led Friday's rally. Overnight session. Asia and Europe. Moving to the overnight session, global markets have been broadly positive. In Asia, the picture was unified. In Tokyo, the Nikkei 225 finished sharply higher by 1.81%, buoyed by ongoing speculation around currency market interventions. Meanwhile, in Greater China, the Hang Seng rose 0.43% and the Shanghai Composite gained 0.69%, reflecting stable sentiment in the region. In Europe, major indices are trading cautiously higher. The price action suggests a more subdued tone following weak German business expectation data and inline UK GDP figures, providing a steady, if uninspired, lead-in for U.S. traders. U.S. futures and the open. Turning to the U.S. pre-market, equity futures are pointing to a higher open, looking to build on Friday's gains. S&P 500 futures are trading up approximately 0.30%, while Nasdaq 100 futures are leading, up around 0.55%. The relative outperformance of the Nasdaq suggests investors are carrying over the tech-focused risk appetite from the previous session. The primary tension for the open will be whether this momentum can withstand the upward pressure from Treasury yields. The daily catalyst. Looking ahead to the session, the formal economic calendar is light, leaving investors to focus on three key market drivers. First, the primary catalyst will be sentiment and the continuation of the seasonal trend known as the Santa Claus rally. Trading volumes are expected to thin as the holiday week progresses, which could amplify market moves. Second, the market will be highly sensitive to intraday moves in the 10-year Treasury yield. A sustained push higher could dampen the enthusiasm for technology and other long-duration assets. And finally, traders will monitor headlines for any unscheduled geopolitical developments or corporate pre-announcements, which can have an outsized impact in a quiet week. With a light economic calendar, flows may be driven primarily by technical positioning and risk sentiment carried over from last week. Given the overnight setup, the market's path of least resistance appears to be higher, but gains may be capped if bond yields continue their ascent. That concludes your overnight market brief. Disclaimer: this podcast is not financial advice. Data may be delayed or inaccurate. Always conduct your own due diligence.